gentlemen, hello. How are we doing today? So we got some big news in the Philadelphia area surrounding the Philadelphia Phillies. At approximately 7 o'clock, July 13th, I was scrolling through Twitter, and I saw that John Heyman posted that the Phillies have already strongly been linked to none other than Padres outfielder Juan Soto. So hello and welcome back to another episode of the Broad Street Boys, where today we will be talking a lot about the trade deadline, some rumors that are already floating around, and Juan Soto. Evan, what do you have for us?
Juan Soto. I mean, it's a match made in heaven for Phillies fans. We don't really have to give up a whole lot because of our high prospects. And if he does suck, if he comes, then we can let him go and not sign him back. And then plus he loves Kevin Long. Kevin Long loves him. I feel like it could work in a lot of ways, but a few things have to happen in order for this to even be a thought. I
Yep.
mean, yes, it's great that he went home with John Middleton from the All-Star game. I mean, it's promising, but at the same time, I don't want to get my hopes up because if Juan Soto comes, I was just telling Caleb this, I'm buying a jersey so fast. Guy is a generational talent. He can hit the ball. He's not even an awful defender, but the guy can just crush a baseball. And imagine him in Citizens Bank Park and not in one of the biggest ballparks in San Diego, with that short porch in right field. Just how like Kyle Schwarber's been using it. I mean, and if we do add Juan Soto, then I guess we are the Philadelphia Nationals, and I'm just gonna embrace it. Whatever, we're good.
You know what? If we
If
become
we
the
win, we
Philadelphia
win.
Nationals, it works.
Okay,
Anything to win at this point. All right, I'm going to ask you a
let's.
little question. What do you
Mhm.
think went on in the plane ride back to Philadelphia?
Um, John Middleton's a very talkative guy, so I feel like some back and forth happened.
They must have been talking
Positive.
some money. From what it sounds like, they might have been talking money. I don't
Yes.
know for sure what they were talking about,
No idea.
but
No one will for ever, pretty much. Now, I don't know about you, but I thought it was fake news for a solid hour. I was like, no way, Juan Soto's going home with John Middleton. I was like, are you kidding? And then all of a sudden, all of the leaks came out from Twitter, and then like a super official guy, like for the MLB, said, yeah, Juan Soto went home with John Middleton. Like, oh shit. uh, I just couldn't believe it to start. And Twitter was going off with it too. It had
yep.
having a field day with it. I thought it was really funny. But Juan Soto, I don't know about you. I love watching him play. If he becomes a Philly, I'm cool with that. Um, and I think the best part is that we're not necessarily tied to him for next year. So if
Hmm.
he does suck, and the very low chance he sucks, we don't really have to stick with his contract because he's going to be a free agent next year. Or in another scenario, if he crushes it, and imagine in the wild world of the Major League Baseball that we do win a World Series, he's going to want to come back.
Yep.
And then he wants to come back, and then we sign him back. It's really, if he comes, it's a win-win. We can let him walk. We can sign him back. We do well.
Well,
I see no downfalls with what's going to happen.
not only that, but the Phillies are known to have a super loose and fun clubhouse, which is something that the Padres are
Mm-hmm.
lacking right now because they are supposedly going at each other's throats right now.
Um, Imagine that locker room with all former teammates, um, uh, Turner, Harper, Schwarber, Soto. I mean, they've all already knew each other. Plus, you add Bryson Stott, Brandon Marsh, and Alec Boehm, who are just right now the characters of the freaking locker room.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like it'd just be a really fun team to watch and a really fun team to be on. And even Craig Kimbrell, who isn't even like a super outgoing guy, seems to be having fun on that team. I
Hmm.
feel like that says a lot. Plus, you have Jose Alvarado, who's just kind of like him. Like he's just Jose Alvarado.
He's a vibe in the bullpen.
He's a vibe. Him and Sir Anthony are vibes. And then, but I feel like as a whole, like I just said, it seems to be fun to be on the team and it's fun to watch. And even if Soto doesn't go, it's still fun to watch. Um, Now, the next thing we'll talk about is how the Cardinals will sell. Caleb and I have very differing opinions on this, so this is going to be funny. We're going to start with Nolan Arenado. Would you give up Alec Boehm for him?
Um, I don't think we need to give up Bohm for Arenado. I think there are other ways that we could do it, but in my eyes, we pick one or two like superstars, or not even superstars, but like all-star worthy guys that we could trade
Mhm.
for. Obviously, if we trade for Soto, we will be giving up a bulk of minor league prospects and maybe even one or two bullpen pieces to the Padres because that
Yeah.
is one of their struggles so far. But if we were to trade for Soto, like there's no way we could go after Arenado,
No.
Goldschmidt, and some of the other guys
No.
on our list. But if we went for Arenado, he's what 31, 32 on the decline. I don't think it's worth it. We might get one or two good years out of him, but
Yeah.
in the long run, I think Bohm is the better guy to go with right now.
Yeah. Um, I get it. He's okay. So I just looked it up. He's 32 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do see both sides, but at the same time, we're in a very much win now mode. Um, so I feel like if we did go after Arenado, the Cardinals would want Alec Boehm just because he's what 20,
He's
25,
25.
26. Yeah, young guy. Now, the only thing I would be hesitant on and save myself 6, 7 more years of depression after when we're good is to keep Boehm and to keep our future high
Mm-hmm.
instead of bidding on now and then possibly winning a championship. I feel like this year, Arenado's numbers are a little down from what he usually is. No one really is hearing about him. I feel like we can both agree on that. Um, I think it's because they have like 32 wins or something.
Yeah.
That's my guess. I think he's just not motivated. I feel like you put Arenado on a really motivated, like high performing team, and he'll crush it. He's never been on that. I don't count last year's Cardinals,
No. No.
and I don't count any of the Rockies teams. So he's never been on like a high caliber, like this juggernaut of like whatever AL NL team, and always the NL. But just think about the highest level of baseball he's played is like the World Baseball Classic, similar to Mike Trout. I mean, not comparing the two, but
Yep.
the competition that he's just used to playing
The
in,
stages that
and
they've played on.
yeah, and I feel like Arenado was a stud on that World Baseball Classic team
Mm-hmm.
too. So he obviously plays up to what he does. I mean, I watched almost all the USA World Baseball Classic games. I saw him slap double after double down the left field line. I mean, I just watched it over and over again. It was almost every single game where he'd get a double, single, or even a home run. Now, I would love if he joined our team, but we would have to give up Bohm, and I would give up Bohm. But if we don't, then I'm okay with it too, because then we keep our future and our locker room intact. Because we know Arenado is he's a hothead. I love him, but he's a very much like he could split the freaking locker room. He's very much a spaz.
I don't think he was like that on the Rockies news. Kind of like Bryce Harper. I don't. He's
Yes,
not.
no,
He's not a
that's how it
spaz
is.
anymore.
Yeah,
Um.
but that's how it used to be. But
Yeah.
I'm
Like
just
he
I'm
definitely
just
had his
saying,
moments.
he's just very much different than Alec Boehm. Now, I would like to see in the next few years a little more progression in Alec Boehm's game. I mean, he's been great with runners in scoring position. That's one thing that you love having Alec Boehm for. He has like he's like top 3 in RBIs on the team.
Yep.
And even
He's leading the team.
yeah, and he was hurt for like 3 weeks. So I feel like that says a lot for his game. Um, Now, also the other person that the Cardinals might sell on is Paul Goldschmidt. That would be easy in my opinion. I think he's better than Arenado. Maybe not defensively, but hitting wise, the guy can crush.
Yep.
He won the MVP last year. I mean, that if that doesn't tell you something, what does? Um, Now, who do you think would be in that trade? Bohm again, or who else? I'm trying to think about other people who would be in that trade. I feel like the normal Griff McGarry. Who else?
With where the Cardinals are at, I think
Yeah,
like they lost
they just need pitching.
Pujols, they lost Molina. They're getting to a stage, and like they're gonna lose Wainwright after this year.
Yeah,
They're getting to a stage where it's like they're gonna have to start over. So
yeah,
I think that they want young guys that they can just develop. Like
mm-hmm.
they're not going to be like the Nats where they sign guys for cheap and then sell them off. Like they're going to be smart, go after guys that they think can help them out, lead to a couple of extra runs on the season,
Yeah,
and obviously McGarry will go. We'll probably give up I can't name them off the top of my head. Maybe Gabriel Rancones, Johan Rojas, guys like
Yeah,
that are like top 10 or high up on our prospect farm. But
yeah, and I feel like we can both agree, and I think everybody can agree. Cardinals are one of the great organizations in the league.
yep.
I mean, at least in our lifetime, the consistency of greatness is impressive. How they pretty much flipped that David Freese, Pujols, John Jay team into the Harrison Bader, Paul Goldschmidt, and Nolan Arenado team. Not of last year, but of years in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's just impressive on how. And okay, barring all trades, if they didn't trade anybody, they'd have Jazz Chisholm, Sandy Alcantara, and Zach Allen. So that's also a thing.
Yep.
um, so imagine if they didn't trade any of them, they would be the best team in the league right now by far. It wouldn't be close.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but however, they have made not great moves with trading for Marcell Ozuna. But every organization has that. But I feel like in our lifetime, the Cardinals, I do think that they're going to try to get like okay guys, but I think they also see how, the Reds are doing not Reds things. They're actually winning. I do think that they're going to want young talent, but I'm going to also say and challenge your point that I think that they are also going to want guys that are ready now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I at least in our lifetime, I've never thought about the Cardinals being like, oh yeah, they're going to sell every single player out. They're starting over. They're like the Yankees essentially.
Yep.
When have the Yankees ever been like, oh, we're just going to sell off freaking Derek Jeter, Alex Rodriguez, any of them? They're very similar in that fact that they always wanted to compete. So I think that they're going to want Bohm regardless, which is kind of rough, but whatever. Okay, and enough about the Cardinals. So the Cubs are also another thought.
This would be a
Now,
much lighter trade. I feel like I feel like we can get
I agree.
Bellinger for not a whole lot. If we
Cheap.
went
Cheap.
after Stroman, that'd be a little
I
more
love Mark
pricier.
Stroman. My only thing with Stroman is, and I told you this in the past, he has verbally said, and he has been committed to this. He's reiterated this many times. He does want to stay in Chicago for the rest of his career. Not everybody says that. I mean, Bryce Harper has, but Bryce Harper is being paid $300 plus million.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Stroman is not being paid $300 plus million. He just wants to be in Chicago, and he's bounced around the league a little bit ever since Toronto. So, the fact that he wants to be in Chicago would probably make the Chicago ownership kind of hesitant to trade him. As much as I want him, because I think he's a stud. His
Yep.
mentality and how he goes about the game is a stud.
He is for sure.
And his stuff is disgusting. I mean, the sinker changeup fastball thing that he has going, that he like pitch tunnels. It's gross. I watched that London game. He didn't pitch great, but he pitched well enough that I was like, okay, he's good. And I think that one of the biggest things for him, and I think this is also a kind of like an effect from the World Baseball Classic, is that he's pitched in big games. He's pitched in that to win the World Baseball Classic for the United States. So he knows how to pitch. The only thing is, will the Cubs give him up? But I think Bellinger is definitely more in play for us. I think. What do you think? If I had to guess.
Bellinger is someone that like they signed to a 1-year deal, hoping that he could get back to himself, and they could trade him off and get something out of him. And I think that's kind of the same thing that they had also with signing Trey Mancini.
Yes,
like two guys that have like high ceilings and could easily pop off, and they're not in their plans either. Like they have the money to keep Stroman, and they have no desire to keep Bellinger at all. So he is a guy that we could go after.
I would like him. I mean, honestly, on this team, if you add some power, that doesn't hurt. And I feel like the power is going to come back with this team.
Mm-hmm.
I think we both agree with that. It's just recently the power has not been there. So if we do add another power bat, it wouldn't hurt anybody.
No.
And also it's very similar if we get, again, not comparing, but if we do get Juan Soto, it's a very similar situation where we're not committed to him for next year.
Yep.
So I feel like the Bellinger situation is much more realistic than like Soto sucking. If Bellinger hits goes back to his what? When was that?
2019.
2021, 2021, 2022, like last year, year before, where he was hitting like what 160.
Yeah,
If he goes back to that Bellinger, then we're like, okay,
he goes. He's a
let him
free
walk.
agent again.
Let him walk. I don't care. I don't care. Let him go. Um, and I feel like you're right though in that I don't think him or Mancini are in the Cubs' long term plans. They have Nico Horner, Christopher Morel. They
Swanson
have
locked up now.
but you see what I
Yeah,
mean? Like they're all young guys. Mancini and Bellinger just don't stick out. Or sorry, they do stick out. And Bellinger's not even that old. I feel like everyone writes him off as being like this old guy. He's not even that old. I
no,
mean, maybe a little old for baseball, but and for hitting baseballs, but he's not that old. But on that team, he's considered old, and they even have like younger pitchers like Justin Steele, who's just underratedly one of the best pitchers in baseball.
they have a
And
nice pitching rotation.
they do
Good
with
1 through 3 out and 4 because Hendricks, he's
Hendricks
still
is. I
solid.
mean, he's older, but that changeup is still gross,
Yep.
and will be gross. Now, I think the most intriguing to us would say would be the White Sox in the on the South side.
Yep.
Um, now, are who are we thinking with that?
The White Sox would probably be more on the pitching side.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go back to Bellinger. He is a
Yeah.
lefty power bat who would probably play center field for us because they've already talked to Pache and Marsh about playing the corner outfields when need be. And Bellinger, he's playing center field right now. If you add him to the
Mm-hmm.
lineup, you're adding another lefty bat in there. On the White
Yeah.
Sox, there is Eloy Jimenez,
Mm-hmm.
who they are talking about listening on deals for, who we could possibly get
Oh,
for
I
left
want him.
field. He's he's not a great defender, definitely an upgrade from Schwarber, but he's also
Yes.
a 280 hitter with power.
Yeah, the guy, and he's young. How old is he? I'm gonna look it
He's
up.
25, 26, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
But you add, and I was saying this,
26.
yeah, like I was saying this about Bellinger. Like Kevin Long, he does, I don't know what the hell he does, but like he fixes
Yeah.
players, he fixes their swings, he makes all stars, superstars. Look what he did with Pache. Pache went from
Yeah.
being like tossed around the league, yeah, being called a failed
He was
superstar.
terrible.
Um, and he's hitting way above 300 right now. His power's
It's
starting to
like
come
320.
through. And I think I texted you and Jake back in the offseason. Like, I think Cody Bellinger would be a perfect fit on this team with Kevin Long. And
Agree.
you could say the same thing about Jimenez. Or like
Yeah,
any of these guys really that come through here.
and I feel like almost in a way, Kevin Long has this influence on the younger players.
Yes.
I mean, yes, he's gonna help the older players, but I feel like the older players are more like stuck in like their one swing. Like Bryce Hubbard can only like switch so much of his swing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be honest here, and he's not even that old. Now with a guy like Bryson Stott, if you remember last year, he had his front foot way
And
out,
his
and all of a
hands were
sudden,
higher last year, where he's brought them down
yeah,
this year.
which makes sense. It's just more of a compact Chase Utley swing in comparison to a loose Odubel Herrera
Yep.
swing. So it's looked
That was
more
awful.
fluent, right? But you know what I mean? That's honestly what it reminded me of, like the super open, just like I don't know. It looked weird. Now with the Pache, I think the whole thing with Pache, the stance is similar, but I think it's also a mental thing.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Long implements something mental in each one of these like younger guys' minds. Him and Brandon Marsh, same exact swing from when they came on, but at the same time, if they're getting hits and it's something that Kevin Long has been saying, either getting your foot down earlier, I guess that could be something that's really not that noticeable, or something like that. It's a mental aspect. Now with Eloy, think about Eloy's coaches. He had what's his name, La Rosa, or the hell his
Tony
name
La
is?
Russa, like he hasn't had
Tony La Rosa.
great
He's
coaches.
terrible. Tony La Rosa is currently known as one of the worst coaches
What's up
ever.
there with Urban Meyer?
He is. I mean, he's flirting with it. I mean, he's just sitting. He was such a bad coach, and their coach isn't great now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I feel like if they didn't have Tony La Russa, they would have easily won that division. That division is horrible.
And the White Sox have talent.
The White Sox are super young and super good. Tell me why Luis Robert, Yohan Moncada, and Eloy Jimenez led team didn't do anything. Why you still have like Andrew Benintendi now? You would think that they'd be okay like by
And
today's
tell me why
aspects.
Tim Anderson hasn't hit a home run once this season.
I mean, Tim Anderson obviously doesn't want to be there.
No,
Like it
none of those
is
guys do.
obvious. Yeah, but at least Tim Anderson is showing it. Eloy, I mean, obviously probably doesn't want to be there, but Tim Anderson's like physically like walking away from pitches right down the middle. Did you see that uh at bat that he got two straight sliders down the middle and then a fastball down the
He
middle
just
and
walked
didn't swing
out.
at any of them and he just walked out. It was that just shows to me either a lack of leadership or a lack of like get me the hell out of
It
here. I don't
was.
want to
I
be here.
think it was either Eloy or Robert. I couldn't see the number on the back, but one of them did the same. It
Yeah,
was like a breaking ball right down the middle. They were walking out the plate before like the pitch even came.
I
Like,
think that was Eloy.
yeah, dude, like
Yeah,
they don't want to
I
play
mean
there.
they just don't. I mean, I think I know exactly what play you're talking about. I
Yeah.
think Eloy asked for time and then he didn't get it, and then but like, why would you walk away from the plate? Like, what are you doing? You know what I
hmm
mean? Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. Um, Now I would be very interested in a guy like Dylan Cease if he does go on the market.
I,
I don't think he
no,
will.
I don't think
Right? He's a
he's
stud,
not a guy that's going to
but
go. But I don't know how much you're going to like this. Lucas Giolito obviously is there. Someone we're going to try to trade
I wouldn't
for.
mind him.
Lance Lynn. He's an upgrade from Noah Syndergaard, I think. Like he's had a couple
Yes.
of games this year where it's like he's been lights out, and then he's had a couple of games
Yes.
this year where he's giving up a shit ton of runs,
And not even like a little bit,
like
like
just
a lot.
horrendous.
I know it's bad. I'm gonna look up how old Lucas Giolito is real
He's like
quick.
I believe he's 27, 28.
That's way young,
Yeah,
29.
29.
So that's what I figured. I mean, if I had a pick, I would pick Giolito. I mean, we're assuming Cease isn't a
Yep.
thing. I would pick Giolito just because I think his stuff is fantastic. And he had that. When was that? 2019, 2020, when he was like a
Mm-hmm.
stud, like a top five in Cy Young. Like
He's
the
not
guy
too
was
far
crazy.
away.
No, and again, he's a White Sox. They don't have good coaching. They never have had good coaching. So I think a guy like Giolito. I mean, Caleb Conklin isn't the greatest, but he can
Yep.
help. At least he's helped obviously Alvarado and Sir Anthony. So I feel like he could definitely help Giolito too. Um, yeah, I'm a little hesitant with Lance Lynn because I feel like that could be another Noah
He's 30
Syndergaard sort of
he's
thing.
36 too.
Yeah,
His
no, he's
ERA
been.
is 6.
I remember watching him on the Cardinals in like 2012, and he was like older then, so I believe it. Um, Now I would pick Giolito out of the two. What do you think? Just Giolito?
Giolito. So if I
Okay.
had to pick one guy from the White Sox, I'm going Giolito.
Mhm. Um, okay. Next one. We're gonna go back to Juan Soto. Um, Now I think we both agree with this, but I feel like the Phillies must sweep the Padres in order for like the Soto like rampage just to really just come out of nowhere, and you're like, oh my god, why is Juan Soto staying in Philadelphia? Um, and I feel like I feel like if you're the Padres ownership, and I feel like we're gonna agree on this, why would you want to blow it up? You have so much talent. It's almost like the Phillies in May. You're too good to fail,
Oh,
right?
yeah, that's their situation. But and AJ
Mm-hmm.
Preller came out a couple weeks ago and said we don't plan on selling. And
Yeah,
let's
that too.
say Padres come to town. It's a 4 game series. Either we sweep them or we take
Yeah.
3 from them. That puts them in a situation where you are now several games behind the Dodgers, the Giants,
Mm-hmm.
and the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
I think it would be
It's
really hard for them to climb their way back up because of how far back they are. I think they're 8 games or 9 games back from the wild card, which is more doable if you look at it like that. But you got the Marlins, you got the Giants, Dodgers, and Phillies. Those
yep.
four they're going to be competing for, dogging it out, and you got the Brewers who are going to be in front of the Padres.
They're just
Like
there.
they're there and they're going to
Yeah,
be there. They're not going to sink. They're going to stay right like a game or two beneath the wild card spot. That's what they always do.
yeah, same thing. Um, sorry. And I feel like again with the Padres, like, I feel like they're too good to fail almost. And I mean, I feel like going along with your point, how if they do lose this series, even if we don't sweep them. So imagine if we win 2 games, they win one. And then the next series they lose the series again, not get swept. All of a sudden, we're assuming that second series is a 3-game series. All of a sudden, you've gone 2-4. You've lost 4 games on whoever it is because we're assuming that I don't know how the Giants are good. I just don't get it. How are the Giants good? It's not Gabe Kapler, and
It's
I can
their
tell you that's a
pitching.
damn fact. It's their pitching. So, and usually how this works, and we know pitching usually wins you, like especially late in the year. Pitching wins you
Mm-hmm.
games. Period. And then that's a fact. Um, Padres. Imagine if one guy gets hurt. Imagine if Blake Snell goes down. Currently, their 4 and 5 are bullpen games, pretty much. It's Nick Martinez and someone else. And if they have one injury, they're going to lose so many games. Like not a little bit. If they so okay, I'm blanking on the pitchers. Yu Darvish,
Blake Snell, Joe
Blake
Musgrove.
Snell. Okay, so Musgrove injury prone. I mean, a little bit. Let's be honest here. If he goes down, then those 3 games they're not lost, but it's just tough to win
Especially
when you have 3
your
bullpen
offense
games.
is
Like,
not doing squad.
and when your offense is only scoring 2 runs a game, it's hard to ask a guy that's used to going 2 innings to go 4 innings. So then you could save the other pitchers for the next 4
Mm-hmm.
games. Like, but you see what I mean? I feel like the Padres pitching staff is one injury away from just falling and crashing. That's why I just don't. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. The Padres. I don't. I guess that offense is scary when I'm waiting for them to go crazy. That offense will be scary when you got Machado, Soto, Bogarts, Cronenworth, Tatis, even Hassan Kim's not bad this year. Like they are a catcher away from almost a perfect team, right?
Yep.
Let's be honest here. Austin Nola ain't it. Um, Offensively, but that bullpen and starting pitcher just aren't good. They're just
No.
not good
And
as a whole.
like you said, like if they lose the first 2-3 series to open up the second half of the season, they're
What do they do?
they're gonna have to seriously think about trading guys, or not everyone. I mean, like they keep Machado, Tatis, but
Yeah,
Soto, Snell, Hader, they're all like
someone
free agents. I
pick
know
someone.
Snell and Hader are free agents after this year. Soto might have one more year with them,
Yeah,
but you have to think about trading these guys away to get something back from them before it's too late. You just have to let them go.
it's. I'm gonna compare it to basketball real quick.
Okay.
If okay, just hang
Yeah.
with me. The Sixers and James Harden. We know he's gonna
Yep.
walk in this next year. So why the hell wouldn't you just trade him for anything? You know he's gonna leave. Like you know he's gonna leave for a fact. So why won't you just trade him for some sort of like, give me a top 45 prospect. I don't care. Give me some. But in the Padres, they just need something for these guys now. And let's be honest here, Blake Snell is playing at a top 7 pitcher right
Mm-hmm.
now. He is all of a sudden just this lefty. He's not even throwing that hard. He's just dotting corners. He's gonna want some money, right? Let's be honest here. He's gonna want some
Mm-hmm.
money. Josh Hader is Josh Hader, and Josh Hader is gonna use him being Josh Hader as
Yep.
leverage, right? Even if he hasn't had the greatest year of all time, but he's gonna use his Milwaukee greatness for the rest of his career, and he's gonna demand that money.
Yep.
So you got those 2 guys. Juan Soto probably isn't coming back. We're gonna
Soto
assume
wants out.
if this keeps up, and so he wants to leave. So those 3 guys are stars, I would say, right? Can I
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh
Those
yeah.
3 are stars. Soto being a superstar, you have to get something back from them. Whether it's Griff McGarry. Anyone from the Phillies, we'll take any of
Abel.
them. Bring
At
them
this
in.
point, Abel.
Bring them in. I
I
don't
mean,
care.
think about
Abel.
who the Padres gave up just to get Soto. They gave up Mackenzie Gore,
Yeah.
C.J. Abrams. I mean, like, they traded Luke Voigt away, but
4
they
picks
gave
or something.
up their 2 top prospects for
Yeah.
Josh Bell and Juan Soto.
And now they have jack shit in their farm
Yep.
system. Jack shit. They have nothing. So they need some sort of high talent prospect, even if it's just one, because one is all it can take for us to like generate some sort of momentum prospect wise, right?
Mhm.
I mean, we saw that with Ryan Howard coming up, or the emergence of like Jimmy Rollins, or like any of that. Those all sparked with all of them, and then eventually the Chase Utleys of the world came along. The Padres don't have that at all, especially because they play to win. I mean, I get it. I mean, again, I'm gonna say this again. I'm gonna say it kind of like a broken record. The offense is too good to fail. I don't get how you're scoring 2 or less runs a game. I don't get it. And funny. We were talking about this yesterday, yeah. They have so much capital invested in like 4 players. It's hard to sign people. Bogarts. How much money?
300 million or 280 million.
Okay.
Something, it's, 300 million
crazy.
for him.
Something crazy. Machado, 300 million. Tatis, something like that. They just gave the bag to Cronenworth. Those 4 players are under contract for a minute now, like a minute, and they're going to pay Musgrove eventually, because he's been loyal, so they're not going to like trade him or anything. That's like if we trade Bryce and stuff. So to take those 5 players, you have so much capital in 5 players. It's funny, and I mean, I sound stupid being a Phillies fan and speaking about capital and players, because we have Bryce Harper, Kyle Farber, and Nick Castellanos making triple digits.
Trey Turner.
So I mean, and Trey Turner making 300. So I mean, it's funny for us to say this, to say that, but at least a few of them.
And you know, John Middleton will gladly throw money at whoever the hell he wants.
Yeah, he is just gonna throw it, and I'm in, and I feel like us as a Phillies fan base have been through everything.
We've been through the Tommy Josephs, the Michael Francos, Cesar Hernandez.
Keep going. I mean,
all those guys that we thought
throwing $200 million at Scott Kingery. I mean, what are you doing? So we've been through the Ruben Amaro and all of that stuff. I mean, Ruben Amaro, and then Ryan Sandberg and then Pete Mackanin, who I didn't hate, but Pete Mackanin, and then the freaking Gabe Kapler, and then
Joe Girardi.
Joe Girardi, and now we have Rob Thompson. Thank God. But I feel like it's time for us to throw some money, and obviously we've been doing it, but we are one move away.
Win now mode
from a championship. We are in win now mode. We are one move away from competing with the Braves again, and I think we can compete with the Braves when come playoff time.
We could compete with the Braves with the lineup we had now. It's just that it's not clinking the way it is. Turner's having a down year. Harper, Tommy John.
And if anything taught either one of us anything from last year's playoff, if you win one of those games for us as a Phillies team, if you win one of the 2 games away, just one. It doesn't have to be game 1. It could be game 2, but we always just won game 1. Because our home field advantage is so real, I mean, anything could happen. Somehow we beat that Braves team. I have no idea. That's the one that kind of blows my mind more than the Padres. How the hell did we beat that Braves team? I get Ronald Acuna was off, and he was still coming back from an injury.
Dude, but they're the best team. They're the best team on the planet.
But what? But you see what I mean? If you just win one game, imagine Nick Castellanos didn't make that catch to save Zach Eflin's career. Holy, we wouldn't have won that series.
No,
no thanks.
No.
So if you just win one of those games, then anything can happen. And again, we just kept seeing that in the playoffs. As soon as we won that Cardinals game, I was like, wait a minute. There's a shot. And then as soon as I did not give us a chance against the Braves. I don't think either one of us did.
No.
As soon as I won that game, you're like, game 1, you're like, Okay,
Well,
this is
when
weird.
when I when I bought the tickets to go see the Braves,
Yeah,
that was like uh, that what,
yeah.
game 4. Like I wasn't even
Hmm.
sure if we were gonna go that far, just because of how like dominant the Braves
Yeah,
are. Like they bully teams. That is how much.
their
Yeah,
bullpen was
that is how
awesome.
much better they are than everybody else in the National
Yeah,
League. And dude, even across the whole league, they're the best team. They're going to be the best team for the next decade or so.
by
They find
far.
talent, they bring it up, they
Yeah,
develop well.
yeah, and then they develop old guys apparently as well. Orlando Arcia is like one of the best
I,
shortstops in the
I
league
thought he
who
was
just
young. I thought
pulled
he
them
was
out of their
younger.
ass. Okay, Orlando. Okay, when I think of Orlando Arcia, he's been in the league for like 7 years because he came up when he was 20. So in my mind, he's like 30 something. He's probably like
He's 28.
28. Okay, cool. So, but Arcia, I feel like came out of nowhere. That's my point. And then, and I feel like, and then just going along with the playoffs, I gave us a shot against the Padres just because of how hot we were. But when Schwarber hit that home run against Yu Darvish, I was straight up in the James Madison University library watching that while I was trying to do work for a biology class. He hit that ball, and I shit you not, I almost fell out of my chair. I don't know, that was the moment when I was like, we're probably going to the effing World
Dude,
Series. I'm not
when
even
was
gonna
I?
lie to you.
I think
That
I
was
was
the
on the
moment.
football around with one of my friends across from where we were living.
Yeah,
Dude, we were going crazy. So
I mean, I was in
so
awe.
talking
This
about
what
that,
490?
yeah. So talking about that high
Yeah,
note, who do you think's gonna have the biggest turnaround second half of the season?
Bryce Harper. I feel like not an obvious answer, but I really do think Bryce Harper is way too motivated to be hitting 3 home runs and less than
Mm-hmm.
20 RBIs. He's way too motivated and he cares way too much. I've never seen a guy care about a sport in a long, 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 long time. Especially in the city of Philadelphia, I've never seen a guy care about a sport in a long time, and everybody cares here. So that says something. But I think we should also be on the lookout for a Brandon Marsh, like he plateaus and then dies, plateaus, dies. I feel like he's gonna hit a happy medium of like 280, like Alec
Yep,
Bohm. That's what I'm calling.
that's where he's
If he
floating
just
right
hits that,
now.
if he just hits that, it is then the Logan O'Hoppe trade is
Yep.
perfect, and it's already working out for us right now. Because why would we need a
Mm-hmm.
catcher, right? I mean, it makes no sense. We have JT. Um, JT, I'm a little concerned about just again inconsistency. Like he'll I think we talked about this last time. He'll hit for the freaking cycle, and then he'll hit 170 in the next 25 games. Like it's just weird. It's
Yep.
weird. If he becomes more consistent and Harper goes off, and everyone else just plays like how they are, like if Castellanos just flirts with that, what is it, the 305 to 309 average wise, and still hits doubles, and everyone else just is consistent, I think we do have a serious shot to not even make the playoffs, but to go far in the playoffs. I believe in this team. I don't know about you. You go.
Um, JT, I think, is gonna be the guy that has the biggest impact second half.
I
So
like
like
it.
he does well after off days, breaks, whatever it
Does.
is. But I also think like if you start him in the lineup at like the sixth spot,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he'll like he just has to stop thinking. All right, he plays around with his form a lot during the season, and that was a big thing last year.
Does.
Harper goes
Mm-hmm.
down, JT starts turning it up, and that I think is really gonna happen. It's gonna carry over this year. Like he is a second half player. He finished, I think, seventh in MVP voting last year, just based off of his second
Yes.
half. And his first
Yeah.
half this year, I think, was much better than his first half last year. And
Well,
if he
yeah,
carries
I
over
agree.
that second half from last year into this year, like he is it. He is it.
You get Bryce Harper at the playoffs. That's a different beast that no one wants to
Mm-hmm.
play. I I was watching just the occasional Phillies playoff highlights. Because we
Yep.
all miss it. I think in the World Series, it showed like his playoff like stats. He was hitting like 390, no, sorry, 349. with like 4 home runs and like 10 RBIs or something, you just get Bryce Harper to the playoffs. And I feel like I actually really like JT. JT does mess with his swing a lot, which I don't love, but he just needs to. He, I don't know what it is with him. It's always about getting the front foot
Yep.
down. That's always what it's about, which makes sense. It's not weird. It's just high. You know,
You should do what Harper and
um,
Stott do with like that little like lift up the foot, transfer the weight, and then go. Like
yeah,
if he did that on
or something.
two strike counts, his average would be a lot higher.
Yeah, and I think he does the big leg kick is because that's where he gets a lot
Yep.
of his power from his legs, as a normal catcher would. I mean, they're squatting the entire game, so I feel like their legs should be the main focal point of
Mm-hmm.
how they play. Um, but as soon as he finds that perfect timing, he's the best
Yep.
catcher in the league, and it's not that
And he
close.
even with Trey Turner, like Turner and Real Muto, they played well in the Miami series.
They did. Turner was awesome in
Mm-hmm.
in the Miami series. I watched him left and right get hits, home runs. I was that one home run. I know we lost the game, but the one home run, the first inning, it was on a back foot slider
It's
that was
like a
perfectly
one
located.
two count or something, two strikes.
Yeah, crushed it. I mean, maybe it's something about that Miami stadium with the World Baseball Classic, but he
Mm-hmm.
crushed that baseball, and I feel like if he just gets that timing down, I feel like he'll be fin. That's why I didn't even put who's going to turn their season around in the second half because I think Trey Turner's
Yeah,
already kind
Turner's
of turned
already
the
turned
season
the
around.
season around. His
Yeah,
average might not show it, but just watching him, like he's already looking a lot better
he seems more
than
engaged.
the first couple of series that they carried on.
He he's having a very much Nick
Yeah,
Castellanos year, which I'm okay with.
I'm okay with
I'm
that.
I'm
With
okay with
how
that because then next year he'll probably be
yeah,
MVP, and then we'll be fine.
exactly.
Let's be honest here. Because I feel like Trey Turner's ceiling is so much higher than Nick Castellanos. Love Nick, but Trey Turner of last year was like a top 5 finish in
Yep.
MVP voting. So, and that's a ceiling. Um, but I'm definitely excited for the next few weeks because I feel like a lot's going to happen. I don't feel like this is going to be a very quiet off season because the Cardinals have
You
so
got
much
superstars
talent
that are
on
going to
that
get
team,
traded.
which is
Yeah, it
weird.
doesn't like it never happens.
this this doesn't happen. Like the Cardinals shouldn't be selling, but they're selling. Like going into the year, if like someone told us that like the Cardinals were gonna sell by the trade deadline or even by the All-Star break, we would
Mm-hmm.
laugh at them. Because I thought we would get a game against the Cardinals, just in the wild card. But I mean, they were not the better team, but they were
Yep.
good. And they're the Cardinals, so I don't know. But and even like the White Sox, like I mean, I would have guessed the White Sox wouldn't have been great, but the fact that they're like going to sell is interesting. They have so much talent and young talent. Um, but yeah, do you have anything else?
No, no. That is all we
Good.
had for today. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode.